Week 3 of the Jacksonville Jaguars OTA practices are officially underway. And with that being said, we have more news, notes, highlights, and observations to go over in this video. Now, before we jump in and talk about everything you need to know as we load up into week 3 of OTAs, and then we're just a week away from mandatory minicamp, I do need you guys to do me a little favor and go give a big follow to all of the media members over in Jacksonville, man. They do such a good job getting these highlights out to the public and kind of enable us to be able to make these videos. So go follow them on Twitter, man. They're going to keep you updated with live highlights and notes and observations from practice as well. And big shout to them, dude. They work so hard. So again, you're going to see some at the top left of your screen. Go give them a follow for more of these highlights. Now, also comment down below a player or two players that you have been maybe surprised with, and I get it, right? You guys aren't at practice, you guys aren't watching what's going on, but in terms of what you guys are hearing, is there anyone that's standing out that's like, okay, I didn't think this guy was gonna be looking this good in practice so far, or whatnot? Give me a couple names or someone that you're just excited to see going forward. But with that being said, I wanted to really break down a couple of guys who overall have really looked good so far in camp, just to keep you guys updated with everyone who is playing good. Now, also keep in mind that there's no pads, there's no contact and whatnot. So yes, someone can stand out, someone can get or give a very good first impression, but in totality, it's tough to really see without the pads on. But with that being said, let's kind of jump into the video. Now, one guy who has been actually really good so far in OTAs is Jarrian Jones. Now, listen, Jarrian Jones was drafted near the end of the 3rd round. This is a guy who isn't lacking the confidence. This is a guy that obviously thinks that he's going to be a really good player, right? And, you know, when it comes to watching practice and seeing what he can do on the football field, it just screams confidence in the ability to come out here and just make game-changing plays. And that's pretty much what he has done so far in camp so far. You know, he had a very good PBU against, I believe, Tim Jones in practice last week. You know, today making some big-time plays. And he's someone that, you know, might not be a day one starter. Right now they have Ronald Darby, obviously Tyson Campbell, and then Darnell Savage, who you bring over from Green Bay. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if in a couple of weeks from now, or even in training camp, you start to hear buzz around Jarrian Jones being potentially even a starter in that nickel position in front of Darnell Savage. But again, I think he's got a lot of work to do, and this Jaguars team is actually built really well where they don't need him to be a day one starter, right? They can continue to develop and continue to see how he grows over the next few weeks here. But again, don't be surprised if he comes out here, makes an impact on that nickel position, but could even you know, make an impact on the outside boundary corners as well with Ronald Darby and you know, Tyson Campbell as well. So I'm really excited to see how he continues to grow, and the confidence is something that's just jumping off the page and something that you want to see out of one of your DBs, right? Another guy who's actually looked relatively well, and this one doesn't surprise me because we know the potential this dude has, but Cam Little, I mean, he has been interesting, right? I mean, he has been someone who just looks good at camp, right? I mean, 6th round draft pick as a kicker. Sometimes kickers just don't really look great, and again, you can't really stand out so far just because I want to see what he does against an actual defense, an actual game atmosphere with fans everywhere, being loud, and game on the line type of situations. And we're not going to get that right now. But in terms of making kicks, I mean, he's not struggling at all. I mean, he's hitting everything, right? He's 50 plus yarders, 60 yarder. I mean, this dude, he's got potential. Again, I'm excited to see what he can do in game action. But so far, so good. Devon Hamilton. Now, let's get to Devon Hamilton. Now, he has been really standing out. Maybe you know, his stock is going up a ton. A former 3rd round pick in 2020. This was a year where, you know, you had to play good, right? You're going into your 4th season. You either play really good or you barely struggle to continue to get contracts going forward. So obviously a big year for Devon Hamilton, and the one thing you can tell right away is the man has put in work, man. Wanted to get better, wanted to display his true potential, and that's something that I've noticed pretty much right away, and so is the media team, man. They have really been you know, enamored with you know, what he's been doing so far during camp. There was one play where, you know, just destroyed Ezra Cleveland, and he's supposed to be a guy that they think he's going to be a day one starter for them as well. Ezra Cleveland at the guard position, left guard, coming over from Minnesota. But yeah, he just looks really good. Hamilton was expected to have a breakout season last year, suffered a non-football back injury in the preseason. But listen, he's back at full strength. And, you could see right away the explosiveness jumping off the page. And I'm just really excited to see him continue to develop, continue to play better. And again, at the defensive lineman position, you need to be able to see what they do in terms of when the pads are on, the strength that they, can use when the pads are on, the contact that they have to make. So, obviously, again, take everything with a grain of salt. Pads are not on yet. But, okay, let's get into, actually, before we get to this, before we jump into the guy that you guys definitely want to hear about, Brian Thomas Jr., do me a quick favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, turn on post notifications. Guys, it is free, it doesn't cost anything, and get this, we will be covering the entirety of the offseason, not only the rest of OTA practices, but mandatory minicamp, training camp, preseason, and once the season does start, we're going to be breaking down film almost every single week on the Jaguars, making sure you guys are kept up to date with the guys who are standing out each and every single game, especially in the preseason as well. Now, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about Brian Thomas. This dude, listen, he still has things to work on, right? The route running, maybe his release, but he's got some guys over here that are really helping him develop, right? Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, obviously Devin Duvernay is actually helping him a little bit as well. But in terms of overall potential, you have to love what you're seeing out of Brian Thomas. Again, he's got some skills that he needs to work on, but the playmaking ability is insane. The connection that he's already built, the rapport that he's already built with Trevor Lawrence is already there. And there's clips going all around the internet of him just making big-time catches in big-time positions, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s. Whatever you ask him to do, he is doing it. And again, he is a guy that has a tremendous amount of potential. When you talk about someone who has, pure talent, skill, but also the ability to want to be coached and want to be better and want to just train every single day and be the best player he can be, that is Brian Thomas Jr. So yes, he looks good right now. The footwork looks amazing. The playmaking ability with the ball in his hands looks amazing. But just wait a year, 2 years from now, when he really starts getting it going, when he fits into the scheme, when he really adjusts to the NFL play style, maybe that even is by week 8. I don't know when it will be, but you can tell when he does hit that stride, this is going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, especially because he's already building that chemistry that you need with quarterback Trevor Lawrence. So he has been one of the most bright focal point spots of this, OTA period so far. And man, I'm excited for preseason. Even if they have some joint practices, I'm excited to see what he does in those, because again, that's when things really get ramped up. And now one more guy that I've been, relatively impressed with, and so has a bunch of the media, is Devin Lloyd. Obviously a first-round pick back in 2022. They want to see a major jump out of him, and it seems like he's on pace to really just take over this interior linebacker core. Obviously his third year, taking that next step of development. He flashed a little bit throughout his rookie year, struggled towards the end. The second year was a little bit more consistent, but obviously wasn't as good as you'd want him to be. And right now they're saying that he is in the best physical shape that he has ever been in. He's going to fit right into Ryan Nielsen's system, and he's probably going to have an absolute killer season this year as well. So I'm really, really excited to see what he can continue to do. Another guy who has, maybe made the most impact so far is Tank Bigsby. Now, obviously, you guys are probably like, okay, what do you mean Tank Bigsby, right? Travis Etienne's here, and he's here to stay, right? And I completely agree. Travis Etienne, they want to, not force him the ball so much. Obviously, if you can keep him healthy, he's one of the best running backs in football. But obviously, having a 1-2 punch of Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, and you can even throw in Dearness Johnson or Keelan Robinson, right? But Tank Bigsby is the guy they drafted in the 3rd round last season out of Auburn. Absolute, literal tank, right? The guy can break tackles and he can make big time plays. Doesn't really have that crazy speed, but when you talk about a hard-nosed running back, that is Tank Bigsby to a T. So I'm so excited to see a second year of Tank. I know he struggled last year with some fumble issues early on in the season, but this is a guy who screams potential and screams hard-nosed running back. So I'm very excited to see what he can continue to do. But overall, those are the 5, 6. I think I named 6 players that have been looking good so far. Brian Thomas, Devon Hamilton, Cam Little, Tank Bigsby, Jarian Jones, and some other guys as well. So, Devin Lloyd. But with that being said, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, and let me know who you think could break out this season here for the Jaguars. And I'll see you guys in the next update. Peace.